Well, I'm going to make this rather brief, but today, I believe it was today, Soledad O'Brien testified before Congress, and I'm going to play some of her testimony, if not all of it. Bear with me, folks. I thought I had this thing queued up, but unfortunately I do not. So bear with me on this. Soledad O'Brien says, "Do not book liars," and she calls out Lou Dobbs in her House testimony. So let's hear this, shall we?
And we will start with Ms. O'Brien. You are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you to the chairman, thank you to the members of the committee, and of course those who joined me in testifying. Back in 2005, CNN aired a piece on Lou Dobbs Tonight reporting that the U.S. had 7,000 new cases of leprosy in the previous 3 years because of unscreened illegal immigrants. That figure was completely false. Back then, the official leprosy statistics showed about 7,000 cases of leprosy over the last 30 years, not 3. But Dobbs' lie advanced his agenda of demonizing undocumented immigrants, so it stuck, and he got away with it. To those of us at CNN reporting on the communities that he degraded, it was disheartening and insulting, and it was also only the beginning. We had entered an era where broadcasters would begin repeating and re-energizing lies and liars, an era that would set the stage for xenophobic and racist narratives that would take hold and polarize this country. I've been a journalist for more than 30 years, reporting and anchoring for local TV, network news, cable, places like NBC, WBZ TV, HBO Real Sports, CNN, Hearst. I do a podcast on Quake Media, documentaries, series for my own production company. And so my point is that I have my feet very firmly planted on the media landscape, and this is what the landscape looks like to me. Media, disguised as journalism, has been spreading lies for years, elevating liars and using the ensuing slugfest to chase ratings, hits, subscriptions, advertisers.
All right. So that was a little bit of what Soledad had to say. I will go back onto this. Do not book liars. Yes, do not book liars. So I'm going to go into another clip. This was 2012 when Barack Obama was president. And let's see where she heads onto this. This is one of Breitbart's individuals, Joe Polak. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Forgive me if I pronounce it incorrectly, but let me play that clip very quickly. Here we go. And
You're speaking at a rally in support of racial equality among the faculty at Harvard Law School, giving a glowing introduction to Professor Derek Bell, who was the first tenured African-American professor of law at Harvard University. Now, Breitbart's video clip from that introduction then shows Obama's friend, Charles Ogletree, another Harvard Law professor, commenting on this clip. Listen.
Open up your hearts and your minds to the words of Professor Derek Bell. Now, what makes this so interesting when you think about
Of course, we hid this throughout the 2008 campaign, so no, no, I don't care if they find it now.
This morning is Joel Pollack. He is the editor-in-chief of Breitbart.com. Nice to have you joining us. So is this the video that Andrew Breitbart was talking about at CPAC? Is that it, what I just showed?
That is one of the materials Andrew Breitbart was talking about. And by the way, those weren't his last words, and this is not his final bombshell. This is the beginning of a vetting process that begins with Andrew Breitbart's probe into Barack Obama's time in Chicago and will continue. We're not just vetting Barack Obama, we're also vetting the other candidates. But the mainstream media won't and didn't vet Barack Obama, and that's why Andrew Breitbart threw down the gauntlet there at CPAC.
Okay, so then let's go back to the clips that I just showed. What part of that was the bombshell? Because I missed it. I don't get it. What was a bombshell?
Well, the bombshell is the revelation of the relationship between Obama and Derek Bell. Obama didn't just lead
so he's a
protest
Harvard
on
law
behalf
student and a Harvard law professor, yeah.
That's correct. And Derek Bell is the Jeremiah Wright of academia. He passed away last year, but during his lifetime, he developed a theory called critical race theory, which holds that the civil rights movement was a sham and that white supremacy is the order and it must be overthrown.
So that is a
Barack
complete
Obama
misreading. I'll stop you there for a second, then I'm going to let you continue, but that is a complete misreading.
Now you're going to hear her step in the big doo-doo. So let's continue, but you'll see her step in doo-doo.
Of critical race theory, as you know, that's an actual theory, and you could Google it, and someone would give you a good definition of it. So that's not correct.
Well, in what way is it a critical misreading? Can you explain to me? Do you know what explain to your readers what critical race theory is?
I'm going to ask you to continue on. I'm just going to point out that is inaccurate. Keep going. Tell me what the bombshell is. I haven't seen it.
Well, wait a minute. You've made a claim. You've made a claim that my characterization of critical race theory as the opposite of Martin Luther King is inaccurate. You're telling your viewers that, but you're not telling them what it is.
Critical race theory looks into the intersection of race and politics and the law. And as a legal academic who would study this and write about it, he would advance the theory about what exactly happened when the law was examined in terms of racial politics. There is no white supremacy in that. It is a theory. It's an academic theory, and as one of the leading academics at Harvard Law School, he was one of the people as part of that conversation. So that is a short
I'm glad we've got you. I'm glad we've got you saying that on tape, because that's a complete misrepresentation. Critical race theory is all about white supremacy. Critical race theory holds that civil rights laws are ineffective, that racial equality is impossible because the legal and constitutional system
what I just said, the intersection of race and politics when it comes to
but you said white supremacy is not part of it.
I'm trying to figure out what's the bombshell.
No, this is critical. This is critical. This is critical.
It's not critical. What's the bombshell?
This is critical. You can't derail this, Soledad. White supremacy is the heart of critical race theory, and Obama knew it. And by the time Obama embraced him at Harvard Law School, Derek Bell had already given a speech in Chicago just 2 months before that caused a sensation, which was about how white supremacy was still the order of the day and that black people were fooling themselves if they thought civil rights and equality were achievable goals. He said this, and one of the people who came to his defense, by the way, was Jeremiah Wright, with whom Bell had correspondence over the years. This is a connection that is very important.
So your point, you're trying to make the point that Derek Bell was somehow a serious radical. Is that what you're trying to say? And by connecting President Obama to Derek Bell, a Harvard Law student, to a Harvard Law professor, the first black tenured professor at Harvard Law School, you're trying to make that connection. Is that the bombshell?
Don't believe me. Believe Henry Louis Gates Jr., who said that Derek Bell had a blind spot for anti-Semitism. Don't believe me. Believe one of Derek Bell's fellow African-American colleagues at Harvard.
There are plenty of people who debated that theory. There's no question about it. But if your bombshell is that Derek Bell is a radical? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm just trying to understand what the bombshell is, because I haven't seen a bombshell yet.
The bombshell is happening. The bombshell is happening right here on this program, where we've got a story, and you're not interested in telling your viewers who Derek Bell actually is. You want to come in and obfuscate and tell me that I don't know what critical race theory is, that white supremacy has nothing to do with it, that Barack Obama is just embracing a guy. This is about Barack Obama's connection to a radical legal theory that he didn't just embrace when he was a student at Harvard. When he was a teacher at the University of Chicago, he forced his students to read Derek Bell, including some of the most inflammatory readings.
A lot of law students read Derek Bell. It's part of the. You really do not. And critical race theory.
Okay. So I'm going to continue. Yeah, she says he doesn't understand critical race theory and the like. And I'm going to continue with her do not book liars and calls out Lou Dobbs. Here we go.
Full stop. So how do we get here? Michael Rich, who is the CEO of the Rand Corporation, where I'm honored to serve on the board, defines what happened as truth decay, the diminishing role of facts and analysis in public life, in important conversations about policy issues, policy decisions, and elections. And I believe this era of truth decay began when local newspapers were badly, even mortally wounded by the emergence of free social media and the decline of advertising dollars like classified ads. Our country has lost almost 2,100 papers since 2004. Local news is the heartbeat of American journalism, the glue of civic participation, the place where we turn to for information about our local taxes, quality education, infrastructure, and that demise left the public with only the unfiltered and unverified cauldron of presumed fact and opinion that is social media. The public turned to TV for traditional reporting, especially on politics, where 65% of Americans report trusting information from TV and radio, depending on whether the stations conform to their political leanings. But here's the problem. TV didn't fill the void of in-depth reporting on America's communities by producing stories about policies that affect regular people. Instead, it became a place where facts often go to die. TV, cable news in particular, relies on the cheap and easy booking of talking heads who exchange colorful barbs, entertaining outbursts, and sometimes peddle outright fiction. It's only gotten worse as reporters and anchors chase ratings, toss aside objectivity to divide us into false categories, I believe, of left and right, manipulating facts and debating the liars they booked for their very own show.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to continue, but she is on her high horse at this moment. I didn't hear the whole speech, so you'll have to bear with me on this, and then I will tie this up in a little bow, but I'm going to continue this.
Today, viewers who come looking for information instead get enraging and contradictory facts from an endless churn of guests who are not in the least representative of the public. On Meet the Press, Face the Nation, and This Week, back in 2015, 80% of the guests were white, 12% were women, 2% were women of color, 41% were Republican, 22% were Democrats. All of this has eroded the public trust. 72% of Americans said they trusted the media back in 1976. By 2020, that number had fallen to 40%. So why did the media march down this road? Money. News organizations need a cheap way to draw.
Okay, so the media is not trusted because they're biased. The reason people don't trust the media is because they are obviously biased. So let's continue.
Ratings, and big ratings mean more ad dollars, and it's really just that simple. And when news organizations make decisions based on ratings rather than responsible reporting, disinformation flourishes in dangerous ways. Important conversations are clouded, scrutiny is reduced, trust in our institution erodes. So what to do about all this? Let me be clear that Congress cannot and should not regulate journalism in defiance of the First Amendment. But here's what we can do. Don't book liars or advance lies. Cover the fact that lies and propaganda are being disseminated, but do not book people to lie on your show because it elevates them and presents a lie as another side. Stop posing every story as having two sides. Some stories, in fact, have many, many sides and are more complicated. And also, lies don't have a side. Take the time to unravel and report and give history and context. We, as reporters, are verifiers. Every perspective does not deserve a platform. Media thrives on the open exchange of ideas.
Every perspective does not deserve a platform. Okay, you can. I don't think I want to hear anymore. She just said right there. Every perspective does not deserve a platform. That is her belief. Soledad O'Brien is an activist journalist. And there are individuals that champion her. Soledad O'Brien was born, I believe, September 19th, 1966, to an Afro-Cuban mother and an Australian father of Irish descent. Both of her parents were professionals, and she grew up in privilege. One of the things she likes to do is equestrian. So I'm going to read a little bit of a bio of her mother before she died. And then I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit of a bow. Now I'm going to change the wording here. Just one word I'm going to change, because now it's considered a racial epithet. It's the N-word, but it was an N-word that wasn't a racial epithet. I'm going to just put the word black in there. And this is something that her mother, Estella Marquita O'Brien, wrote. And this is to Supervisor John Klein and the Smithtown Board. Let this ad convey to you and to the people of Smith Township the disgust and the frustration felt by this member of the black community at your refusal to enact an open housing ordinance. Every honest person knows that there is discrimination in the sale and rental of houses in this township. With your denial of an open housing ordinance, you have made light of our rights and belittled our dignity. In this crucial moment in American history, you have aligned yourself with those who would oppress the blacks. Know then that now you bear this moral burden. Some people in their past cannot go or see beyond their past and become myopic. And I don't think Soledad comes across as one of the least self-aware of the journalists. And I'm not sure, it seems like many of the people, whether they still work for CNN or do not work for CNN anymore, do not seem to be very self-aware of how they come across. She claims lies. She claims misinformation. I wonder who decides that? And is she anyone to hold up the truth? If you look at her background, is she one to talk? It seems like she's a bit of a hypocrite. Now, she called Lou Dobbs a liar. She's called, I guess, people at Fox News perhaps to be liars. Can a person be misinformed? Because, of course, she was misinformed. This is not a very self-reflective person. Or at least it comes out that way. She comes across as someone who doesn't think what she does or what comes out of her at times can stink. I just think it's important that people have a self-reflective look, and that platforms, these platforms, social media and the internet, are what can bring the truth better. Of course, there will be more lies, but of course, I believe that there can be more truth. And it's unfortunate that more people can't see that. This has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Thank you for listening.